Chad Elkins presents the Elkins Accounting Hour with your host, Chad Elkins.
All right, you guys, how is it going? It's just going to be me tonight. Actually, we were just visiting Clary and we were there for 3.5 days. So he's probably ready for a break from me or vice versa, if you know what I mean. But no, it has been a good month since I went on here. And this is going to be one of those streams that I need practice with because normally, I've got like an outline and a topic and I'm eager to go over, certain subjects and things like that. But with this one, it's just going to sort of be freebasing based on what the last month was like. So I'm going to get my practice and Atham, I'll talk to you about that. No, it was fine. Raymond, what's up, man? Aren't you streaming right now? First thing is first. This is a stout. It's called Cherry Thunderstorm, and it's 10%. You can see it says it's a chocolate stout with cherries and vanilla beans. So yeah, you can get your frou-frou beer jokes in. That's totally cool. But there's something you should know about this. I actually tried it for the first time last night because the candidate got it for me when I was in Chicago. And it's Martin House. It's my favorite brewery here in Fort Worth, and maybe of all time. Oh, the audio is good. Awesome. Thanks, guys. The thing with this is, they mention cherries. They mention, chocolate, vanilla. I don't detect any of that. Like, this is just really your garden variety stout that's got a little bit of a chocolate flavor to it. So being that it's 10%, to me, this is absolutely not any type of frou-frou beer. This is just a really strong stout. Yeah, I see you, Raymond. I didn't like stouts for the longest time. And then I started going to Martin House and I was like, well, you know what? These are pretty good. Frou-frou or not. So I'm going to pour this. I want to cheers to all of you guys who are here. There's no cherry taste, none. It's really bizarre. So let me see who we got here. There's a lot of familiar faces. Y2A problem, homeschool time, of course. Yeah, shoot me an email, man. Who else we got? We got Mr. Pariah, local dude who I know. Lisa, well, she's probably hanging out in Raymond's chat. Big Lutz, new dude, I think. Who else we got here? I saw Parker. Parker, what's up, man? I got your updated email about what you were telling me about what you did over the weekend, and that's really good. We'll talk more about that. Let's see what else we got. The real Uncle Hector, yes, sir. I'm glad to see you're in here. We got Bazooka Luke 467. We got Land. What does that say? Land Preciator. I'm not wearing my glasses, so it's a little hard to see. We got Travis. Oh, you took the world's greatest accounting career. That's cool. You got to put it to use, huh? We got Black Jen. Good to see you, man. I see him on Telegram. And of course, we got Atham. Atham, I'll tell you about South Dakota and Raymond. Okay, so, thinking time. What's up, man? I was just in Chicago for a really long time before I went to South Dakota, and I'm going to talk about what was going on in Chicago. Oh, hey, Torgo, what's up? Like General Douglas MacArthur. No, I wouldn't go that far. Yes, Atham, I know I always used to say that. I'm not a fan of stouts. I don't know what to tell you. I've just really gotten into them. We did some beer drinking in South Dakota. I'll talk about that. Who else we got? Blue Moon, you just passed all 3 EA exams and applied. Well, congratulations, man. Cheers. I've got a kind of a stupid, I've had this thought running around in my head. I was thinking of just trying to take the EA exams just so I could see if I could pass them without studying. That might just be a waste of time and money, but it's just something I think about. Plus, it would give me more of an understanding about what the tests are like, because I did a stream where it had some practice questions, but I chose the easiest ones, which gave Clary the mistaken impression that he actually knows what he's doing in terms of taxes. So I want to see what the test is really like, or the 3 tests. Mm. Oh, we got Homefront Forge in here, man. Visiting me while Raymond is still alive is I'm honored. It's good to have you here. All right, I think that's everybody. Blake's pipe. Cool. Just try it, Chad. You might be shot. The EA exams. Maybe I'll try one of them just to see what it's like. So we'll see about that. Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember, but the last time I streamed was about a month ago, and there was kind of a lot of stuff going on. It wasn't a really good time for me because let's just say I was the key witness in a extremely acrimonious family feud related trial that had been ongoing for years, and the stakes were kind of high in it. So the fact that the trial was scheduled to start on October 6th, which is, not good timing for me. I still had a bunch of work to get through, through October 15th. So I wasn't really feeling good about that. And there's just, I guess I'll eventually, I'll talk about the trial. I mean, do you guys want to hear about this thing? Because the trial is over. There's been a verdict, and it's, it ended up being pretty interesting. But I can actually share more details about it now because it's over. They got a verdict. Today's Monday. They got a verdict a week ago today. So yeah. So here's the thing with this trial, and we have to go all the way back to 2017. This was a client of mine from back then, and we're going to call him Bob. Okay, so Bob. So Bob came into my office back then. He was a new client. He needed tax prep for a couple of partnership LLCs that he had. One was just a real estate holding company, garden variety, 1065, nothing crazy. The other was for oil and mineral rights, which was also a partnership return. And that's what this entire case was about. Now, Bob had been using H&R Block for several years. He had the same prepare, which is fine. They did an okay job on it. But when he came to me, the reason he came to me was that he not only wanted tax preparation for this oil and gas holding company that was inherited from his grandfather, he wanted me to perform what's called a valuation on it. So he wanted me to examine what the royalties were along with several other variables. And he wanted me to put together a valuation because when he inherited that property from his grandparents, there were other family members that were shareholders of sorts on it. And one of these was his aunt. Okay, now I'll talk about her in a little bit as far as the trial. So I knew how to perform these valuations because I had done several of them with my dad. We were familiar with oil and gas, West Texas, and all that. And of course, I learned how to do those in school, during my MBA program. I was an accounting and finance concentrator, so I knew how to do all that stuff. I'm not going to, unless you guys really want to hear it, I'm not going to get into the valuation methods. It wasn't the common one that people think of, which is discounted cash flow, DCF. This was a different one that you have to do specifically for oil and gas royalties and mineral rights. So I knew exactly what to do, and it was fairly basic. And, subject to the operating agreement of this holding company that Bob inherited, they needed a CPA to evaluate the company, mainly so they could buy out whatever family members were shareholders, give them fair market value so Bob could just take possession of it. Again, this was in 2017 when I did this. So this has been years of just conflict and legal mumbo jumbo. So I did my valuation. I knew how to do it. I'd done them before. And there was a figure I got that was, believe me, a very fair figure, and Bob was happy with the work. I prepared his taxes for the next several years, for this company, and all was well until I get an email in 2021. It's from Bob. Bob goes, "Chad, we have a bit of an issue with that LLC, the oil and gas one. Apparently, Bob's aunt, we're going to call her, let's call her Velma. I don't know, Velma. Apparently, Velma felt like the valuation for her share percentage, she was due to get a certain percentage of share. Well, she thought it was way too low. And not only that, she thought that Bob had basically entered into a conspiracy with me to value the property lower than she felt it had to be. Now, this woman is 75 years old or something, and I'll tell you about interacting with her at the trial. I never even saw her until I went in to testify. Mm. Oh, I see your question. Yeah, homeschool time. I'll talk about that. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll talk to you about that. Um, so, so yeah, there's this lawsuit, and it was a pretty nasty one. His aunt was essentially like, "No, you're cheating me, and I deserve." It was something ridiculous. It was like 10 times the amount of what the property was actually worth. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of oil that was being extracted from this property. It was in another state, a state I've never been to. I'm not going to tell you which state, but I mean, yeah. So the vast majority of the wells on this property were non-functional and had never ever even extracted oil. So it was just a few wells, and she thought that Bob and I were trying to cheat her, like I had something to gain with that. And the long and short of it was, the lawsuit progressed, and then you guys have heard me talk about this. In the summer of 2023, because of this lawsuit, I had to endure a 4-hour deposition all about this. And I talked about this on my last stream, but that deposition was one of the most awful experiences I've ever had in my life, because the opposing attorney, Valerie's attorney, or Velma, whatever we're calling her, we'll call her Valerie actually. Her attorney was this pit bull piece of shit, like son of a bitch, who just went after me. Just talk about, you're in front of a firing squad for 4 hours trying to discredit me, calling me a liar, calling me stupid, like calling me a corrupt CPA, like saying, "Oh, just attacking me." And so that's why. So yeah, they do this deposition, and there was no hope of settling this case because Valerie was just a stupid, greedy bitch. Just, oh my God, just awful. And so what happened was, this continued to progress. There was no hope of a settlement. Bob's attorneys, I worked with them during that deposition. They were trying to get the case dismissed, for all of these years, including after that deposition, because they're like, this has no basis. We've got an evaluation. The other side got their own expert. Bob's side got another expert, which essentially agreed with my valuation, but they just wouldn't settle it. So ultimately, the case did not get dismissed, and it ended up going to trial. And the story, because I talked about it last time. They scheduled this thing on October 6th. That was when it was going to start. So what, 3 weeks ago today? You can imagine, if you're me, what a pain in the ass that is, because that's, the first 2 weeks of October are very busy for me. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, like after that experience with the deposition with that piece of shit attorney, I didn't want to have it. I did not want to have to go through that again in a courtroom in front of a judge and jury. Like, I just didn't want to deal with something like that. Not when I'm trying to close out the year. And you have to remember, I'm not really in Chicago anymore. Like, I'm in Fort Worth right now. I still have my place, or no, I'm still technically an Illinois resident. But the thing is, I really didn't want to have to go back up for this. It wasn't necessary for me to do that. So, So yeah, October 6th. So the candidate and I, she wanted to come with me. I ended up flying up there around October 1st. She came, went shopping. We hung out with friends, all that stuff. We actually went to the top of the Sears Tower, aka Willis Tower, because I'd never done that. And that was actually a pretty cool experience on the sky deck. But I digress. So the candidate's there. She leaves on Sunday, October 5th. Okay. Now, even though the trial was scheduled to start on October 6th, it doesn't necessarily mean that I would testify that day. Like, they informed me I would probably be called on October 7th because they had to do opening statements, and then the two parties, meaning Bob and Valerie, had to, they had to go on the stand first and talk to the jury, and there was jury selection and all that. So yeah, that was supposed to happen October 6th. Well, here's what happened. There was some kind of issue where the judge that was originally assigned to the case wasn't able to hear it. So right that Monday, I'm working on tax returns. The attorney, Bob's attorney, calls me. Oh, and just, I haven't said that, I didn't talk about this, but I did hours and hours of prep with Bob's attorneys in order, because I was the key witness here. Like, it all kind of hinged on my testimony. So yeah, throughout late September and early October, I was just doing a lot of prep for this, and I'll talk about that process and billing for it and everything. So anyway, I get this call in the afternoon. Monday, October 6th, the afternoon, I get this call, and the attorney says the trial has been basically postponed, continued until the following week. So instead of starting October 6th, it was going to start October 13th. And I was like, you know what? That's actually better. I can get through most of the remaining work I have. I had no problem with kicking the can down the road. I was just like, fine, I don't feel like doing this. Now, let me tell you guys immediately, instantaneously, what happened after I got that call and I heard that news. I still can't figure this out. So, candidate had left the day before. I get that news. It was almost as though my body just like shut down and said, you know what, Chad, let's get you sick. You don't have to testify this week. We are going to let whatever fucking disease, COVID, flu, whatever the hell I had picked up, the weekend prior. I shit you not, 30 minutes after I got that call, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I have never had a worse, like, whatever. I never like tried to figure out if it was the flu, COVID, whatever. I have never been that sick with that type of virus before in my life. Like, I was just shut down for the whole fucking week. Like, from October 6th to about the 10th, I couldn't do anything. Like, I was on my couch. I was trying to do work. I had tax returns to do, but man, I felt like shit. It was just so terrible. So then that happened, and it sucked because the candidate is a healthcare professional, a pretty high up one, and I get sick like right after she left Chicago. So it sucked. The whole thing sucked. The weather was bad that week. Like, it was just crappy. And so yeah, I did the best I could to get through all the remaining tax returns I had, but man, I was laid out pretty much until that Friday. I was laid out. So yeah, I felt better over the weekend after that, October 11th, 12th. And so that weekend I had to just continue to prep the remaining individual returns I had. You have to get those finished by October 15th. And I also had to just make sure I was prepped for that stupid testimony. And so that's what I did over that weekend. And yeah. So now we're going to get to the trial. One sec. Actually, Blake's pipes. I'll answer that one for you. Sometimes, but usually not. The weather is usually not good in Chicago. It's starting to get cold now. Okay, so I prep over the weekend, and and I was ready to go that week. Now they told me that because of that trial continuance, they were going to basically they were going to pick the jury, do all of that stuff on Monday the 13th. And then Tuesday the 14th was going to be the opening statements and the testimony of the two parties, Valerie and Bob. They have to talk about why they hate each other and why they're evil and all that. And then I would be called on October 15th, which I mean, yeah, that's technically the very last day you can file tax returns on extension season. So I wasn't really thrilled about that, but I was like, at least it's just the last day, whatever happens, happens. So that is exactly what happened. The afternoon, they said you need to be down at the courthouse by about noon. This was on October 15th, which was a Wednesday. So Wednesday, October 15th, I get all the work done that I could, put on a suit, went downtown, went to the courthouse, and I'm sitting outside, I'm waiting. I'm not allowed to be in the courtroom while other witnesses are testifying because theoretically that could influence my testimony. So I'm there, and finally, like it just kept dragging on. And finally, by about 3 o'clock, they called me in. Now, court usually stops about 4:30. So I was kind of pissed because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna end up having to come back, Thursday, the next day, October 16th. But I was like, fine, whatever. And I gotta tell you guys, so something before I even walked into that courtroom, something had definitely gone down. Like something happened because that piece of shit attorney who I did that deposition with in June of 2023 and who was going to be like, coming after me on the witness stand. Something happened because it was like the second I walked into that courtroom and I immediately got on the witness stand and I got sworn in and everything. It was clear that judge really, really did not like that attorney, the one on the opposing side, the dude that had gone after me in my deposition, who was there. Like, he must have done something to really piss her off because it was just so evident. Like, she was just like sneering at him, and I could just tell she was not having it with that guy. And so I sit down, I'm ready to go. I've got all these exhibit binders on the witness stand. I'm expecting it to be pretty horrible because I was imagining it would be like, I imagined it would be like the deposition was. So I was like, well, Bob's sitting there, the two sides of the courtroom, as the defendant. And it was really odd. Like the strangest thing happened. I get up there. You got to understand what a fucking asshole this guy was during the deposition. Okay. He was just as militantly unpleasant and attacking, just a horrible human being. He was just, but then I'm up there and he starts questioning me. He's courteous. He's polite. He has this really like gentle tone. And then it occurred to me, he must have like been a total fucking asshole to Bob because Bob went on the stand before me. And I think the judge really let him have it about that because it was just like a 180. He was almost like wispy. He was like, Mr. Elkins, how are you doing today? I'm like, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. And he's just like gently going into these questions. And I'm like, something happened here because this is not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And so I won't get into the details like about the testimony, but he essentially kept trying to make the case that I wasn't qualified to do that valuation. Ergo, the jury shouldn't accept it, and that stupid fat bitch, that sued them should end up with a higher amount of the royalties payout from that well. Oh, yeah. So quick timeout. I had wondered what this stupid waste of a human life aunt like was going to look like because it's all because of her. I got dragged into this for years. Just the classic boomer, fat, like trailer trash, using a walker, just the scowl on her face, and her fat, pathetic daughter was the one who had to take care of her. Like, part of me thinks that the daughter was the one that was pushing, Valerie to to make this to file this lawsuit and to pursue it because I mean I just that aunt just looked like she wasn't even all there. The most feeble, disgusting waste of a human life was sitting there. And I'm just like, that thing is the reason that we all had to have all of this aggravation. That like and so and yeah, so I'm on the stand and I'd never even seen her before. And I'm just like, you gotta be fucking shitting me. So and so yeah, I think that's exactly right. Homeschool time. I think that's exactly what happened. So yeah, and so I built it up in my head, and even Bob's attorneys were like, he's gonna come after you. You got to hold firm, say less than necessary, yes or no. Don't all that stuff. But I mean, the guy just really couldn't. The stuff I expected him to attack me on, he wasn't able to do it because every time he tried to convey or ask a leading question about how I wasn't qualified as a CPA to do this valuation, the judge kept saying, we'll call him Mr. Richards, kept saying, Mr. Richards, stop that. So you would expect Bob's attorney, the opposing attorney, you would expect there to be objections and they fight it out. But I mean, this judge was not having it. She had just had it with that motherfucker, and I could tell. So I got pretty lucky there because every time he tried to just come after me, she wouldn't let him. And the time she didn't pop in, the other attorneys were, objection. He's attacking him, blah, blah, blah. But I decided to do this other thing. One of you guys gave me really good advice as far as how to irritate. This might have actually been on Clary's channel when I was in the chat, but somebody gave me a great piece of advice that I decided to utilize. And I could tell it was pissing off that attorney like big time. So, so we're finally starting to get in the meat and potatoes of the valuation I did. What's your experience? Why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. And every time that asshole, would ask me a question that would try to trip me up, and I knew that was happening, like I'd really prepped for this. I did this, which I could tell was just pissing him off. So he would like stand right in front of me on the witness stand and ask a question. So, I mean, he was only like 4 or 5 feet away from me. But every time he would ask me a question, the jury box was just to my right. Okay, so the jury is actually very close to me. So every single time that dumbass would ask me a question, I would go like this. So he'd ask me something and I'd turn away from him, just totally ignore him and just talk to the jury and basically look them in the eye and explain why the attorney is a worthless piece of shit. Like I just kept doing that. So for an hour and a half that first day, like he couldn't get anything on me. And I'm not saying that's not me flexing. He had just pissed off the judge so much. And his partner, he had this partner attorney that every time he would like try to come after me, the partner attorney would be like, Richards, stop doing that. Like, stop. He would whisper, like, he'd be like, stop doing that. And the jury heard that. So yeah, so that was how that Wednesday went. And the judge goes, we have to stop here. It's 4:45. Mr. Elkins, I hate to do this, but you have to come back in by 9 tomorrow and we'll get going at about 9:30. And so, yeah, I was a little bit irritated about that, but I was like, fine, whatever. Went home, finished up the remaining tax returns I had to do, which there weren't that many. And so then Thursday, October 16th, I got up, put on another suit, another tie, shaved and everything. And I went back down there and the same thing happened. Like I was the first witness in the morning. And so he'd had the evening to try to think of new ways to come after me, but he just couldn't do it. The judge wouldn't let him, and Bob's attorneys just kept stepping in. And so at the end of the day, all the jury heard was that I knew what I was doing, and he can't even disprove it. And he tried to get one final jab in there. He's like, well, this was actually the last question he asked me, and then we were done. And of course, Bob's attorneys came in, and they had questions, but we'd already gone over those. It was just to establish my credentials and all that. So So yeah, I go up there and he tries to get this one final jab into me, and the judge just reamed his ass out when he did that. It's like, Mr. Richards, you keep that up, you're basically going to be in contempt. And so when the judge said that, I turned to the jury, and the jury was just smiling and kind of laughing. I mean, I knew it was in the bag after that. Like, and I'm not saying like I deserve credit for this, because there were other witnesses that were sort of corroborating what my evaluation was. And so I left. That was it. So I left that Thursday. They had a few more witnesses, expert on their side, expert on Bob's side, that Friday. And so they sent the case was completed Monday. So a week ago today, Monday afternoon, they completed it. They sent it to the jury. And this is what the attorney told me, Bob's attorney. I shit you not, it took them about 25 minutes to deliberate. Do you guys want to guess what the verdict was? I'll give you a minute. Oh, hey, Monero Mateo. What's up, man? All Pro Lemonton Z. It's good to see you guys. I see your super chat, Cynic. I'll get to that. Super chats are encouraged, by the way. We don't have Clary here. Atham, if you feel like coming in, let me know, and I'll send it to you, the link. So basically, the jury 100% sided with Bob, my client, the one who got sued. So everybody was really, really happy. They were happy. Bob was happy. The attorney was happy. And so Monday was kind of fun a week ago, because I was getting texts and emails that were like, Chad, you did a great job. The jury, it took no time. They found for Bob. And here's where it really gets good. Oh, so you guys, it's a civil matter. So it's not guilty or not guilty. It's more like, liable or not liable type thing. But yeah, basically not guilty, if you will. So this is the best part about all of this. I know I've been rambling about this, but this is absolute. Like, I just laughed my fucking ass off when I heard this. So, holy shit, it's rare. But yeah, sometimes I get a bit concerned that Clary is having some problems. Rare, but I was hanging out with Clary in South Dakota for 4 days, along with the girlfriend. And I'm going to talk about that after I finish this story about this trial I just had to testify in. So basically, in the state of Illinois, when this happens, when somebody tries to sue you, and it's a civil matter, and it turns out that you shouldn't have sued them because you were in the wrong, and the jury finds so. Guess what Bob's attorneys get to do at that point? I want to see if any of you guess this. I didn't even know this until they told me last week what happens next after the jury comes back with that verdict. I thought you couldn't do this, but apparently in Illinois you can. So I'll see if can you guys guess what I'm going to tell you next? We'll see. You guys got it. You guys absolutely got it. Attorney's fees. And so it's not only, oh, you guys all got it. Yeah. So it's not just that. So yeah, the attorneys get their legal fees paid as well. That's almost an automatic in the situation. But guess who also gets to have their shit paid for when you're in the situation like this? The witnesses get to get paid for this too. And I was going to get paid anyway. But I mean, when you and this dragged on for several years, this was so frivolous, and the jury found so, that the jury was basically like, you have to pay attorney's fees, and you have to pay for the inconveniences of the witnesses participating in this. And remember, I had to do all kinds of prep for this, like more than 20 hours of prep, because I was the key witness for this, for something I did 8.5 years ago. And so basically I'm at a point, I was actually over the weekend on Saturday that Bob's attorney, the one I've been working with, was like, Chad, we need you to send us your hours and any like travel expenses you had to endure, so you can get reimbursed by the opposing side, the opposing party for that. And so that is exactly what I did. I charged my hourly rate. I didn't cheat. I was like, this is my hourly rate. You made me do this. I had I was forced to come up here when I didn't want to be here. Meals and incidentals, Ubers, Lyfts, like you name it. I just loaded up on that. And the attorney was like, this is what you do. These are the consequences of like bringing a frivolous case through the system like that. And I have to say, I just wish I could have seen the faces. I wasn't there for the verdict. I just wish I could have seen the faces of that stupid fat bitch that caused all this and that pit bull attorney that lost his fucking ass. Now she'll have to pay him his fees, of course, but she'll also have to pay Bob his attorney's fees, and for me and the other witnesses. So it ended up being a really happy ending, and it did stress me out. It was at a bad time of the year. I got sick and everything, but justice prevailed, man. Like this is whatever happened, whatever should have happened happened. Bob was just sending me, emails thanking me profusely, and it just really worked out. So oh, I see that question. It's through a court motion. It's a court order that says the plaintiff who lost because it was deemed frivolous by the jury has to pay Bob's attorney's fees and for the witness fees and everything. I mean, it's an Illinois. I don't know if it's just an Illinois thing, but it was explained to me that not every other state does this, but Illinois does. So yeah. I was really happy with that. I'm probably not going to get paid until November or December. And it was also explained to me, because I was worried about this. I sent an email to Bob's attorneys, the one I've been working with. I said, well, if she tries to declare bankruptcy or something, like what happens? Do I still get paid? And she's like, I promise you'll get paid. I've seen this, hundreds of times. Don't worry. Probably in November or December, you're going to get paid. And I ain't cheap. So yeah, I was just really happy how that turned out. And if you remember the last stream I did, a month ago, I was really stressing about this because I was like, it was at a bad time of the year and I was feeling the pressure. And it was something, again, some work I did 8.5 years ago. So I just, that's a long time ago. I'm also not really a fan of public speaking. So, I didn't want to go into a courtroom and have 50 people, hearing me have to testify when there were eyes on me. But once again, that attorney basically had his evil wings clipped because he was such a piece of shit that the judge was like, nope, not happening. Yeah. So enough about that. 2 days after the verdict, I took Tuesday to relax, hung out with some friends. Wednesday, I flew to South Dakota. Now, why did I fly to South Dakota? I flew to South Dakota because Mr. Clary has been basically saying, you got to visit, even though I've already visited twice. The candidate, the girlfriend who was down in Texas, she really wanted to go. Okay, she wanted to see him. I wanted to see Clary too, but I'm just like, man, I've been to South Dakota twice. Do I really have to go a third time? But it was fine. So she and I met at the airport Wednesday morning, and it was actually a lot of fun. Clary, his girlfriend, was there. My girlfriend and Clary's girlfriend got along really well. So I kind of knew that was going to happen, but it just made it really fun. We went around. I don't know if you guys know who the Great One is, but he also lives in South Dakota, and we're kind of friends too. So he and I, we went to some breweries. The girls got to have their drinks, and Clary doesn't drink, so he didn't mind being the sober cab. He took us to these places. And I got to say, I was sort of impressed with Rapid City's brewery selection. It's pretty small there, but they had a lot of breweries there. And so we had fun doing that on Wednesday. On Thursday, we just kind of went riding around and checking out the scenes. We went to Mount Rushmore. We went to Spearfish. We went to a town called Deadwood, which I really thought was cool. I saw Sturgis. Actually, Rare, I was going to ask, Rare, have you ever been to Sturgis during the rally? Because I was wondering about that, and Clary didn't know. But I bet it's pretty cool. So yeah, we did that, and then Friday we hiked. It was called Harney's Peak. This Atham. This is the one that you and I did when you visited. Like this is the same hike that we did. It's 7 miles. It's about 1,500 feet up. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough hike. Not terrible, but oh yes, you've been to Sturgis. Yeah, Rare's been to Sturgis. Yeah, so we did that hike at them, and everybody did well. You know, great one joined us. My GF, she handled it fine. You know, Clary's GF handled it fine. So we did that. That was Friday, and then we picked up these steaks. And you know, I gotta say, Clary can grill a steak. I'll give the guy credit for that. It was absolutely delicious. And his girlfriend made butternut squash. I was just like, man, holy shit. And then Saturday we got up, met up with the great one, went to a couple more breweries, and then the candidate and I had to fly home. So we flew back Saturday night, and that's the end of everything that's gone on since I last streamed about a month ago. So I'm on, yeah, Black Elk Peak. I was gonna say they changed the name to that, Black Elk Peak. But no, I gotta say, you know, this time a month ago, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty anxious about how all of this was going to turn out because I just felt like there was a lot of pressure. But no, it ended up going really well. I learned some things. I learned that I never want to be an expert witness in a trial again. Like I know I'm glamorizing it, but I just don't want to. I don't want to do that stuff anymore. So yeah, let me see. We got some super chats. See what we got here. Boop-a-doo. Citizen Chief for $2. He's in front of the jury. He's going to be. Yeah, see, that was what I thought too. And I suspected that would be the case. I mean, you guys got to understand, he was such a fucking asshole during that deposition. But the thing was, in a deposition, there's no judge and there's no jury. So you're absolutely right. He can be as big of a prick as he wants to be, but you can't do that in court. And what's funny is he managed to alienate the jury before I even set foot in that courtroom. This guy really is a piece of shit. I wish I could dox him, but I won't do that. So, Cynic again for $2. The opposing lawyer got convicted of being an asshole. I mean, he didn't get convicted, but he certainly got labeled one. And see, my experience with judges, I thought judges are generally supposed to be pretty impartial and kind of decide what the attorneys can say. But I mean, this one just clearly seemed to dislike this guy. And that's why I was pretty relieved with like how it turned out, because man, you got to understand how big of a prick that he was when I was doing that deposition. So, so yeah. Cynic, $2. Does the aunt even have the cash to pay you? That is a fantastic question. She's not going to get the payout that she thought she was going to get, and she had to pay money for these she had an expert witness on her side. This is what's so stupid about this whole thing. The expert witness on her side kind of sort of agreed with me, but then just threw in this ancillary like, well, there's potential production, and so we have to account for those. And you know, as I was testifying, and then the other expert on our side was saying, in 80 years, there's been no additional production on that property. No, there's no oil over there. And again, I wish I could tell you what state this is, but I mean, this was just such a waste of time and money, because she had to pay whatever payout she was going to get. You know, my valuation evaporated with her trying to be greedy with this. And by the looks of her, she lives in a mobile home, can't get around. But even if the aunt doesn't have the cash to pay me, apparently they can issue a lien and levy and start taking it. So I'm not too worried about it. I do think I'm going to be paid. I just think it's going to take a little while. So that's okay. Hat and Clogs, what's up, man? For $2, who hurt Cappy when we go on a hike? Las Vegas. See, here's the problem. Cappy goes to Vegas, you know, kind of at the end of the year, right? So we got the holidays. And then by the time we can theoretically hike, it's already January. And, you know, I can't do January hikes because I got my busy season from January to mid-April. I can't do shit. and it sucks, but that's the life I chose. It's the type of schedule that allows me to have summers off and to take trips to South Dakota after October 15th passes. So we'll see. Like if I can get down there, I'd like that. And I think you've already hiked with Clary before too, right? So yeah, you know what to expect. He's always in a race to get to the top. Like I noticed that he's always like walking ahead and you have to catch up to him. You know, it's kind of funny. Cynic again for $2. Chad always stands up for clients, even in court. Yeah, I just want to say again, I never want to do that again, despite it going really well, and it did. I would have become a lawyer if I wanted to participate in things like this, but I didn't want to be a lawyer, and I don't want to enter courtrooms. So yeah. Mi verda for $5. Quote, I do not recall is a perfectly legit answer if you can't, beyond a reasonable doubt, confirm or dispel any questions, statements, or accusations. You're absolutely right. Like both during the deposition, you know, a few summers ago and on the stand, he kept asking me these details and I had the same response. And remember, I would always turn to the jury and say this. I'd be like, this was 8.5 years ago. I don't recall the exact conversation we had when he first set foot in my office. And the jury would just be like, yep, this guy's a piece of shit. So, Rare, if you're still here, I think you've even mentioned this on your streams. I do not recall is very much a valid answer in any situation, court or otherwise, because if you don't recall, then you don't recall. They can't hold a gun to your head. So, yeah. Atham for $2. Was Clary's bathroom safe this time? Okay. Atham, if you're still here, let me know if you think I should tell that story, because I think I'm going to, but yeah. I may tell you that story in a second. Cynic again for $5. The new name is for Black Elk, a medicine man who had visions on the mountain. There's a biography on him. Harney never visited or saw the mountain. Yeah, I do know it was changed recently. Was it 2016 or 2017? Black Elk was a Native American, right? I was looking this up while we were out there. And yeah, like Clary still calls it Harney's Peak, but it is Black Elk Trail, mountain and all that. All right, I'm going to go back to, so Atham asked if the bathroom was safe. Here's what happened. This was 3.5 years ago, which incidentally was the second time I visited Clary in South Dakota. Me and Atham's girlfriend came. We met up in Rapid City in May of 2022. And a great one happened to be staying with Clary during that time. He was still getting his apartment. The very last day we were there, there's this downstairs bathroom. Like we were all staying downstairs. The very last day we were there, you know, we're getting ready to leave in a couple hours and I have to use the bathroom. Okay. We were out and we came back, you know, and I'd use the restroom. I walk in there, I open the toilet, and there is the biggest, most disgusting turd I have ever seen. And somebody left it there. Somebody fucking left that there. And, you know, there's only a few suspects. There's only a few possible options of people who could have done this, unless it was a ghost. And there are ghosts in that basement, as Atham will tell you. So it was just absolutely disgusting. And I was the only one who was willing to grab a plunger and it was clogged too. Whoever did that clogged the toilet. And so it was me. I had to go in there and unclog this thing. It was so disgusting. And I almost puked. Atham took a video of this. Clary took a picture. And so today, if you go down to that same toilet, Clary has this big picture on the wall. That's me trying to unclog this thing. He ended up blowing it up and putting it on a poster board. So yeah, that's the story. And that didn't happen this time, Atham, but man, it's funny to see my picture there. Mi verda again for $5. Aggressive lawyers will attempt to delegitimize you to suit their argument. JDs can choke on their own dicks. Plant most PhD level politicians. Yeah, most politicians are attorneys, I've heard. I just got to tell you, I cannot emphasize what a piece of shit this other guy, this attorney. I mean, Let me just say, I hope none of you guys ever have to experience encountering somebody like that. I mean, what a fucking worthless piece of shit. Just fucking asshole. Okay, is that it with the? Oh no, we got Hatton Plug. Why you be mean, Chad? Why no hi? Who hurt you? Well, who hurt you? Big Smokey for $1.99. I absolutely hated courtroom testimony because it sucks. Like the thing I hate about attorneys and about court proceedings in general, like I'm a numbers guy. I like math. I can write well and everything, but it's like it's fucking annoying dealing with these people because all you have to do is say like one word like the wrong way or something, and suddenly you're getting attacked for like being dishonest. It's just somebody constantly trying to poke holes frivolously in everything you say. And that's what happened during the deposition. But again, it didn't happen during the trial because he just pissed everybody off in that courtroom. I think that attorney, they never really had a chance to win that case anyway, but that attorney definitely did not do that stupid bitch any favors. He did not perform well in front of the judge and jury, at least while I was in there testifying. Unfortunately, he probably gets paid, but I'm hoping he did this based on a contingency where he'd only get, paid a lot unless he won. And they most certainly were not going to win. So, all right, I got to get caught up on some of the. Okay, what are you guys saying here? Yeah, Harvey, they say bill them until you like them. How much would you charge to be an expert witness? I just charge my hourly rate. Some expert witnesses do that for a living. Like they literally, that's their only job. They worked in various industries or whatever. It's usually older people that are retired and they have so much experience that they get hired as experts. Again, that's not something I want to do, and it's not fun, but they charge a shit ton. And that's why that dumb bitch lost all this money, like for her expert, and she was never going to win that because the expert basically agreed with me. It was nuts that this didn't settle. What else we got? Judges are people too, Rare. This one was a woman, and I flashed her the old smile, and she knew what was up. What else we got? An attorney was an a-hole. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Yeah. My sister's an attorney, and we get along and everything. But once she became an attorney, I knew I wasn't going to be an attorney because one attorney in the family is enough. And yes, it very much was a fishing expedition, and there was nothing they could get out of me. Yes, they can take her Social Security. That's what the other attorney was telling me, was that if she can't pay up, they're going to put a lien and they're going to start to garnish whatever cash that she has. And she did this to herself. I don't want any of you guys to feel sorry for this dumb bitch at all. This was all her doing, or her daughter's doing. Like, she did, whatever happens to her, if she ends up destitute on the side of the road somewhere, is fully deserved. Remember, I have nice guy tendencies, so if I'm saying this, it's deserved. What else we got? Oh, you had a fist fight with your attorney. Maybe it was the same guy that was cross-examining me. What else we got? Ollie North couldn't recall a damn thing. Is he still alive? I remember that. I was a kid when we were watching his testimony about the Noriega thing in the 80s. Sir the Craftsman asks, Chad, do you live in Texas, and what's housing like down there? Is there work for carpenters in your area? Yes, there very much is. I'll tell you, I'm in Fort Worth. This is my girlfriend's house. Yeah, but I'm pretty much here really all the year, except for certain months when I have to go back for my business to Chicago, or I get called as a witness to a trial. There's a lot of available work for carpenters here. And I'm going to say something mean, but I have to keep it real. If you are a carpenter and you speak English down here, then you'll very much be a hot commodity, because that's sort of the issue, is that a lot of the really good carpenters, I'll say they're really good, but they kind of sort of don't speak English. So I've heard stories about that. Yeah, I do not recall is better than perjury, because it's one thing if you're asking me about something that maybe happened a year ago, I can probably remember it, but 8.5 fucking years ago, You got to be shitting me. And he kept trying to do that. And I'm just like, Mr. Richards, I don't remember what I said to Bob 8.5 years ago. Go fuck yourself. What else we got? That lawyer was being a total Shelby. Shelby, that's a whole other thing. If y'all know Raymond, he did a stream with Shelby. Shelby proves that all you have to do to be a successful YouTuber is to have a vagina. Because if that girl can get what is it, 15,000 subscribers, any ugly girl can too. You know what, Sean? I've tried to get Clary to smoke it. Like, he doesn't drink at all. And, I've even put the peer pressure on. I've tried to, when Atham visited, we had a little fun with that. And we were just giggling and everything. But, Clary is pretty straight edge. And I'm going to give him respect for sticking to his principles. So Clary doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. Well, he smokes cigars, but he doesn't do anything else. So, yeah. Oh, another super chat. Mi Verda for $2. Did your wife accompany you to the deposition, Chad? No, she was down here. Actually, if you want to know the real truth about this, since I'm being so open with you guys, when that deposition took place in June of 2023, she and I had actually temporarily broken up back then. Like, that was during the brief period where we had split. That's a whole other thing, but no, she did not. So I was already not in a great headspace for that deposition. But yeah, I can't get over how, like, basically how that attorney tried so hard to be an asshole, but he just couldn't, because you're in front of a judge and jury. It doesn't work. You can't do it. You have to be civil. So else we got? You don't have to rub it in that you got a girl, Chad. Don't be a Jack Morgan. Jack Morgan. Do any of you guys watch Jack Morgan? He doesn't. I will say he was getting riled up a few times while we were there. He's always like, "Let's go," He doesn't like slow people when he's ready to go. Can't trust a man with no vices. I don't trust. This isn't quite the same thing, but this is how I've always sort of felt, throughout my life. I don't trust a man or a woman who doesn't curse. I'm not saying you have to be like foul mouth and, fuck it. Like, but if you never curse, I don't know. I just kind of feel like you're performative. Everybody needs to curse. It's just, I stubbed my toe this morning and I let out a big fuck. Like, that's, you got to curse. I even know Mormons who curse. So, what else we got? Yeah, exactly. Rare. Like, and I know people like this, and it's honestly kind of hard to hang out with them because it's like, I'm not a very upstanding moral guy sometimes. I'm a degenerate, as you and I, Rare, both know. So I need somebody who curses. Atham for $2. Clary needs to smoke DMT. Dude, can you imagine him doing the substance that we were doing out in Reno last time I was down there? Can you imagine that? He'd never do it, but that'd be pretty funny. I won't say what it is. Okay. As a nice guy, I don't trust nice guys. I've got nice guy tendencies and I see them in other people, and it's not really good to be a nice guy. Don't be like a total asshole, but don't be a pushover either. Gosh dang it, Ned Flanders. I dokily, googly. I just can't diggly damn, Nah, you got to be able to curse. All right. Honestly, that's really all I had. I just wanted to catch you guys up. Let's see, we're about an hour in. If you guys have any accounting related questions, I'll hang around a bit longer because I still have a little bit more beer left. Otherwise, we can call it. It is kind of nice to be back on here. I'll still probably stick to just doing this once a month or something for now. Thank you, Homeschool Time. We'll talk about Clary and my course about accounting. It's really his course, but Rare. Yeah, no, let me get that. Yeah. I'm not pretending I'm some kind of like awesome, utilitarian, like, I'm a degenerate a lot of the time, and I'm proud of it. So what are you going to do about it? You have an accounting question? Oh, actually, I did see. Yes, sir, Mr. Rare Beer. Like it was about a year ago when we got to hang out down your neck of the woods. The GF and I were talking about that, how fun that was. I did. There were a couple of. Oh, Harvey, you had a good question. How do you deal with returns you aren't able to complete, even if your clients get everything in on time? If you're deathly ill, for example, or have you not had that problem? I haven't really had that problem, but if that's happening, if they've done everything they need to do, which is get me everything, and by the way, just because they get it to me on October 14th doesn't mean there's time to do it. But if I really was in a position where I had all of the documentation that we needed to get the return done, I just have a colleague handle it. I've got a lot of colleagues, and Parker, even I'd send it to Parker. I'd be like, Parker, this is a pretty easy return. You should be able to handle it, but I'm too sick or I'm too whatever. So I would just pass it along to a colleague. I've had nightmares about that where it's like October 15th and I haven't done it, but whatever. There was another starred Parker. Oh, Land, you were asking, Chad, I take FAR on the 15th, so November 15th. Any tips? FAR is the CPA section, the CPA exam section that's the most financial accounting heavy. It's not tax, it's not audit. Honestly, this is going to sound a little bit odd, but just know basic accounting. Like FAR, I took FAR in 2011. God knows what it's like now, but FAR is almost like this big like wide area of water, right? Say it's a pond, but the pond is only about a few inches deep. So they'll cover all kinds of things: government accounting, bonds accounting, all that stuff. But there's not a lot of depth to it. So if you just know the basics, I'm not trying to say be overconfident, but FAR was far easy. No pun intended. FAR was far easier than I thought it would be. That was actually my second highest score, and that's considered, at least back then, one of the hardest ones. Don't be afraid of FAR. It's honestly not that bad. Parker asked, Chad, do you ever do trusts and estates? No, I don't like those because there's a lot that can go wrong. Well, case in point, I just told you about something that was left in an estate that caused a goddamn family feud that lasted over 8 years. But also, I don't like 1041s. They're a little too nuanced. It's funny. I was doing a consultation just a couple hours ago, and nice girl, her father had died. But I'm going to have to refer her out to a colleague who does trusts and estates because I hate those. There's too much that can go wrong on those. So let me catch up to your other clients. No trusts and estates. You know what? You can probably still get into H&R Block because it's only October, and these months, November, December, is when they need to get their staff in. Go talk to them. They'll probably hire you. What else we got? Yeah, Cynic, the world's greatest expert witness career. At the end of the day, this is something my sister told me because I was asking her for advice about how to testify and everything. And she said something that made me laugh. She goes, at the end of the day, and unfortunately, this is true. I think she was just talking about civil cases and not criminal, murders and stuff. At the end of the day, it's kind of a popularity contest. Does the jury like you and your attorneys more than the other attorneys? I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, but my sister did mention that in her experience, that seems to be a lot of what it is. So the world's greatest expert witness career, I would say, just instead of answering the fucktard attorney's questions, just ignore them and turn to the jury and talk to them. So at the end of the day, only the judge and jury matter in trials like that. So that'd be my advice. The Y2A says, I have some news about what I'm going to do after this upcoming tax season. Yeah, shoot me an email. Please keep it short. You guys, I've been getting like these big ass, asking me a zillion questions. It's like, this is now my official off season. I want to drink beer and engage in certain other substances every so often. So I'm trying to relax here and then eventually fire clients, if you know what I mean. But I will do consultations for those who need it. Yeah, FAR. The thing with FAR is that there's just so much to know, but they're never going to ask, at least from what I've heard in my experience and talking to other people who took the exam when I did, which again was almost 15 years ago. It's just not practical for them to ask you about the most obscure shit. And if they do, I don't think they expect you to actually get it right. Now, things may have changed. I know the pass rates have gone down on this. So I honestly wouldn't worry too much about FAR. Whoever's about to take it up there at Land, I think said he was going to do it. Yeah, Rare. A fun, not fun, but a story for you. This involves you actually. And by the way, we were only apart for a couple months. That summer, I guess I'm being really open about this. That summer, I almost emailed you, Rare, because I was like, I'm feeling really down about this. You know, you're always so upbeat. You have a healthy attitude. You got any pointers for me? But it ended up, you know, I won't get into the exact reasons why, but everything is fine now. I don't think that's going to happen again. Everything's fucking awesome now. I'm happy. Most of the time. Bra flexing is high IQ. No, I don't know. The Curse of the High IQ. That's a book Clary wrote. Oh, Jared. Yeah. ATF fees for manufacturing gun attachments. I started it. Yeah, I don't see why not. That's a business expense. Those are commissions and fees on Schedule C. Yeah, you could deduct that. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, absolutely. If you want, give me an update. But again, please, no. Rare said it. No novels, guys. Like I just give me bullet points are encouraged if you can. What else we got here? What are your thoughts on EA doing rep and resolution work? It's lucrative. It is lucrative, but you also might lose. I'm not. This is going to sound strange, but I actually really enjoy preparing tax returns. Like, I don't want to appear in tax court. I used to work in tax court in my 20s. I just don't want to deal with this legal bullshit. I'd rather just, I know how to do a return. This is how we do it. We'll claim every legal deduction. If it is lucrative, but if you think that it will suit your personality to kind of go up against attorneys, then fine, and you can get paid a lot. I just know it's not for me. If there's a situation where a client of mine needs serious resolution help, I just send him to one of my attorney colleagues from Chicago. It's like, he can represent you. I'm not doing this. Project. I finished my interview with Intuit. I've had 70 interviews this year. Only Intuit wanted me since my last layoff. Okay. I hope it went well. I mean, Intuit, again, they own TurboTax. They're always looking for support for their TurboTax customers who call in. You're probably going to get this because I know they need people. What else we got? Chad, when you did CPA, what exam prep did you use? I used Becker because at the time I was working in public accounting. I was at Ernst & Young, and that was part of our being there, was that they'll pay for your study guides and also the exam fees. So I don't really have anything to compare it to, but I do know it's really expensive. It's maybe like $5,000 for those materials. So it is pricey, but I will say back then they were really good. Like, I knew I was going to pass based on using their study materials. Amber Heard did the talk to the jury thing, but she was cringe and it did not work out. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm an expert on this, but you have to come across as likable. You can't be like, you have to come across as like humble, and you're not trying to grandstand. Like, this attorney just had no ability to come across as likable. So I was just like, okay, this asshole just asked me this, but let me explain it to you so you guys understand what really happened. So I did that. There were a lot of women on this jury, so I just kind of smiled at them. I added you on LinkedIn. I don't really go on there, but I should. What What else we got? Yeah, Becker is the best. If you guys, that's your best shot. But I know there's other materials that are a little bit cheaper that you could still use. Bu- bu- bu. Exactly. You can't shit the bed and then play the victim. I mean, it's rare. You are full of wisdom, man. Mm. Mm-mm. Mm. All right. Well, I got a couple more super chats here, and I think I'll call it. Casey Owens for $4.99. Why did the banker and the accountant get a divorce? Because they couldn't reconcile their differences. Okay, you have to be an accountant to understand that joke. Yeah, you know what? I'll just let the accountants chuckle at that one. But yeah, bank reconciliations matter, and sometimes you have irreconcilable differences, as they say. So you have to get a divorce. Oh, hold on. Oh, she's on her way home. I got to make her special frou-frou drink. So I'll end this in a couple minutes here, unless I get more super chats. Cynic for $5. He's been super generous tonight. I watch crazy court cases for fun. Just watched a defendant make up a health scare to avoid a hearing, and then he got caught red-handed at a horse show. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna lie about being sick and bedridden, you can't go out and like live your life. That I swear to God, some people just lack conscientiousness in ways that I do not understand. Like people really are fucking retarded. And yes, I use that word. Go ahead and as Jack Napier would say, there goes the monetization. So I think that's everything. Let me see what else. Oh, good night, Lisa. Hey, Nuke, what's up, man? Yeah, it's good to see you. I'm back in town. We may head over to your neck of the woods either this weekend or next weekend. So I'll hit you up, just see if you're around, and maybe we'll stop, have a drink or something. So, oh, we got one more from Atham for $2. I know special medicine that cures depression. Well, I'm drinking some of that right now. Some say it causes depression, but no, this cures depression. I can't say it on here, but I think most people know that this is not my vice. I prefer a different vice, and in my opinion, that particular vice is far less harmful to the body than this one. But there's a legality problem. Oh, sweet, man. Yeah, absolutely. We got some stuff we want to head over there for, so I'll hit you up. It all depends on her work schedule, but we think she can. The girlfriend normally works on Saturdays, but we think she can get this one off. So we'll see what happens. I'm drinking vitamin D. All right, awesome, guys. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the super chats, and thanks for letting me kind of have a victory lap about how that trial turned out. I'm just really, I'm really happy that whole thing is over. Yeah, I don't really, like I was saying on my last stream, I don't really have much else to talk to you guys about as far as accounting. I mean, I've said pretty much most of what I have to say, but I mean, I'll get with Clary, and if he wants to come on here, we have something interesting to talk about. Or Atham, if you want to come back and chill, we can do that. The only thing I do want to, so Clary does have this, it's called the world's greatest accounting career. It's something that he put together, but I mean, I worked with him on it. It's for people who don't have accounting degrees, but think they may want to go into tax. It just tells you how you can do that without spending much money. So I do recommend it. I linked it below. That's the affiliate link, meaning if you use that link and not Clary's link, I get 25% of the proceeds. So you're going to want to use that link because we all like it when there's a Clary tax, don't we? But yeah, thanks for hanging around, guys. And hell yeah, Rare. I'm glad. I don't think I've ever gotten to really interact with you on the chat here, so it's cool. No, Nuke, that's the real Rare. Yeah, we had fun tonight. And Rare, I'm going to try to tune in for Thursday. Let Him Burn. I don't know if you're going to be doing it, but yeah, Let Him Burn. So go to Rob Says for that. And also Nuke. I know Nuke go to his channel. he streams on Sunday nights. I've noticed that that's one of the regular nights that he does it, but I think he does a lot of other streams during the week, and he's got some great insights about the state of dating and things like that. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for being here, and we should hang out again soon.